Welcome to This is Wealth. On this podcast, we ask, what is wealth? What does wealthy really mean to you? Most of us immediately think of money, but honestly, wealth is so much more than that. If you have health, deep friendships, a supportive family, you have great wealth. My name is Liz Crawford. Get ready to be impacted. Today, I'm joined by a friend and a coworker, Sadie Schweers, and she and I are extremely passionate about a project that we work on together known as Let's Talk. This falls under Sendero's Women's Initiative, and to us, it's some of the best work that we do, and we're very fortunate to be able to do it.
Yeah, and we want to start by telling you what Let's Talk actually is. It's a confidential, small group of women that we bring together that are like kind and some different. And we just start having honest conversation about money, yes, but also just about life, about marriage, kids, what phase we're walking through. Just good, wholehearted conversation.
That's right. We created this program because we kept hearing from women the same thing. And it was from friends, from clients, from ourselves, honestly. They're the same conversations that we have. And one of the things that we just don't talk about has to do with money. And I find that we carry these feelings around about it. It can be shame, it can be embarrassment, it can be uneducation around it. We're uneducated about what we need to know about. Introduce the shame again, introduce the fear. And we wanted to stop that because there's a great conversation that we should be having. And so let's clear the air. Let's give some parameters for women in how to talk about these things. And then let's sit down together confidentially, confidently, and have conversation. And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and I think that loneliness about money, like it's real and it happens to all of us. We all walk in it at some point in our life and most of us will talk to our best friend about anything. But when it comes to money, we're just a little bit guarded and there's always that safety net around the topic.
I find one of the most powerful things we can do is to shine light on a topic that we're not sure of how to approach. And it helps the darkness around it, the fear around it, the shame around it dissipate. And when you find that commonality with someone and that you're not alone, that somebody else feels the same way about something, then you've got that common ground and you can explore it more from there. So I'm really excited for some of the topics we're going to talk about today. Um, there is no right or wrong. We're just going to kind of brainstorm and share our thoughts and our feelings around things. Um, we wish you were here sitting at the table with us and join in the conversation. So share with us afterwards. But we're really excited for this.
Yeah, let's jump in.
Let's jump in. Okay. The thing I have found about money is that it touches every part of our life. And along with that, it touches every emotion that we have. It can bring joy, it can bring fear. I'll never forget the first time somebody told me that it brought sadness. That was not an emotion that I attached to money in my life. But when she told her story, I was like, ugh, how can you feel anything but sadness around it? And so, what are your thoughts? What do you hear from people?
Money touches everything. And like we said, it's always the most guarded conversation, especially in the beginning until we have that trusted safe spot.
Why is it guarded?
I think, it to me, there's just been this perceived, almost unspoken rule that we just don't talk about money.
Because
And
we don't want people to know what's really going on behind the scenes, or we don't want them
yeah,
to really know.
I think there's different scenarios. Like it's either because you don't want them to know the real and the raw, or you want to be perceived a certain way, or maybe it's just uncomfortable. I think there's situations where maybe you're the first female stepping into it, and there's always been a male dominance. I think there's just different reasons and
I
scenarios.
think even family history, your like you
Yeah.
said, your family is perceived as one way, and what
Hmm.
if people knew the
The real.
reality?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we have a saying in our house, the real real. We need to talk
That's
about the
right.
real real right now. And
And we don't with money.
we don't. And then there's comparison, right? And now we have social media. So we
Really,
see you just think that everybody or that some have it all.
'Cause nobody's posting their crappy day online.
No one
Nobody's showing when they woke up going, "Ugh."
no, yeah, nobody posts their balance sheets.
Yeah, yeah, right.
But also, time is changing, time is rolling, people are evolving, women are stepping into it, and by 2030, women will be in the lead of having that empowerment around money, and so here we are, we've created this program to teach, to help, like, we don't need to just be the investment advisor, we need to help with the strategy, the confidence, the seat at the table. And I think that's what Let's Talk, it just bridges those gaps and it brings women together to open up the door, right? The door is open, walk in, and let's just let down our guard and talk about it.
What I love about our firm is professionally, even before, I entered the firm, they had this invitation to women to join at the
Mhm.
table. Like, we didn't want an empty seat at the table because your decision making is actually better when you are a husband and wife together because you view it from different angles. And,
Mhm.
for women, studies show that we look at it at a more emotional level, but we're thinking about how do we keep the family together? How do we nurture to the needs of everybody in our family? We're not just looking at the
Mhm.
technical pieces. And truth be told, a lot of men go, uh-huh, 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 at the technical pieces. They don't always understand. And that's okay. We don't ask you to understand everything we do. Just like I don't go to your work and expect you to or you don't expect me to understand everything you do. That's not the idea. The idea is that you have a seat at the table, you have a voice at the table, and your thoughts, fears, ideas are considered and integrated into the conversation. To me,
Yeah.
that's what we do. And we talk about in Let's Talk the power of the woman, whether you're part of a family or
Mhm.
whether you are your own family or whether you're single, it doesn't matter. There is a place for you at the table, and we want to help you with whatever your personal situation is. And there's just different facets to each of them, and
Yeah.
different voices that are going to come to you in each of those, but they're all important, and we're equipped to handle helping you through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my favorite part is you just get to see so many different walks of life and situations and be that consistent confidant and steady for that person and just help guide them and give them the confidence. And I think at the end of the program, what it really does is it equips that female to have the confidence to collaborate, communicate, and just stand strongly and boldly in what she's learned and being equipped in her wealth. And it's all, like you said, different kinds. I think one thing that it's done for me in just understanding the program is understanding the other person's point of view.
Mhm.
We don't need to, we don't ever want someone to go back and feel like the attack dog. Like, that's not what it's for. It's to understand that we're all coming together in a family or in a marriage or independently, maybe even thinking about how the money got to you and what that person's point of view was and why it might be a certain way or why there might be some underlying rules of the family and having an open-minded approach, but also being able to write your own story. And I think that that piece is really important.
I love when we start. There's a short little article called "Your Money Story," and it just helps set the stage for what you're exactly talking about. Like, we all come to the table with
Mhm.
our own history from our own life experiences. And if ours are similar, we're going to have the similar money story.
Mhm.
But if they're different, then that's where conversations can break down among friends or couples when talking about these things is, oh, I never viewed it from that angle. And I will never forget when my husband and I got married after having our first child, the first Christmas. I was like, oh, okay, here it goes. Like, they had a very different upbringing than we did, and all his gifts were out, and Santa delivered everything, whereas in my family, everything was wrapped. That was part of the fun, was unwrapping, and there was,
Mhm.
like, 1 or 2 things out from Santa. So we had these big, humongous arguments for a toddler about how we were gonna do Christmas, and it's like, "Huh, what else is gonna come like this?" A lot.
Ours was a couch.
Yeah.
Which direction of the TV do you put the couch? And why does the couch cost this much that I would, and the couch that you would? And
I'm not sitting on it.
yeah, yeah. He was like, "'Cause I can't lay on that couch. That's a pretty couch, not a comfy couch."
So funny. Yeah.
But it's funny, these are things we don't think about, that we don't talk about, and, I think too, we just get so busy living. We're just living and going, and it's constant. And the last thing we wanna do, especially on a Friday night
Oh, you
or
don't get excited
or
about it?
or Sunday evening to restart the week is sit down and
Talk about
talk about
money?
money, so you just keep plowing through, and I think this program brings so much awareness and light, and I think it's a really neat thing to be able to go back home and say, "Hey, honey, like, we talked about this tonight, and it was really cool. I
Yeah.
thought about X, Y, and Z. How do you feel about that? What are your
I
thoughts?"
love that we actually talk about how to communicate to your spouse when you go back.
Mhm.
Because the last thing we wanna do is set off a bomb unintentionally. And money and marriage, I mean, there's obviously dynamics around that.
Right.
Half of marriage is split because of these
Mhm.
issues. So we're really, careful, thoughtful, considerate about how
Mhm.
we help you go back to your spouse and talk about what you did learn so
Mhm.
that it doesn't feel like an attack because you were excited about something. So it's important. It's a component
Yeah.
of the conversation, and I think just paying homage to relationships is super important.
Absolutely. And for our single women, it's equipping them maybe with talking to an elder generation or a brother or sister as
Yeah,
well.
even a future spouse or a
Mhm.
partner, I mean,
Also very important.
there's lots of
Mhm.
situations where you end up splitting bills and assets and things like that. And
Yeah.
how do you have those conversations?
Yeah. And I think, raising kids as well, how do I equip them whenever they step into it one day? And how do I start dropping little nibbles here and there for them just to kind of think and process at their own levels, but also just to teach them when they do get into relationships one day, like, this is an important
Yeah.
topic. We should talk about this.
This is so important, and I, am grateful to all the women who've gone through the program before because of them, we created a program around helping kids,
Mhm.
um, start to begin to talk about money, start to learn about money, and we do a boot camp in the summer for kids. We also do, private conversations with parents and groups of kids, which are super fun. But we also have a program wherein they're launching, into adulthood, and then when they find their significant other, again, helping equip them. If I can help them understand how they view money,
Mhm.
what are going to be the triggers for them, and I can help their spouse understand that about them. I can teach them communication, best practices around having a hard conversation, taking a step back, listening, and I can teach them what motivates them. And there's one other component: how I communicate, what my style is, and then how to have the hard conversations. I feel like we can give kids a whole different place to launch from and hopefully provide more success in marriages by having that really solid foundation. So thanks to all the moms out there because it was because of you that we created those programs. And I think it's just it's amazing. And the thing that we always want to do as mothers is, okay, if I learn something today, how do I teach
Mhm.
it to my children?
Mhm.
And that's the neatest part out of all of this is there are
Absolutely.
things to be done.
Absolutely. Can we talk about something that's very real for me right now?
Yes.
Lifestyle creep. Lifestyle creep,
In which way?
budgeting. And I think, part of the meat of Let's Talk and kind of the details is, yes, we talk a lot about emotions and feelings and how to talk to others and how to think about things, but we also equip women of how to really make a balance sheet and a budget and stick to it. And life is always going to happen. Things are always going to come up. I'm finding raising 3 kids that
Yep.
there's always something else to pay for, but if there's a little bit of a roadmap, kind of just tell us how that helps us and how we equip women to stick to it.
So I'm going to say budget is not a dirty word. It's not that you can't. I think of this more as these are my guideposts, and these are the parameters that I have to make decisions within these without hurting other things I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we want to help you accomplish your goals, and what's the best way to do that? You have to tell us what's your priority, what's most important to you, how you want to handle it. I did a TED Talk years ago, which was supposed to be about unintentional choices and the
Mhm.
impact that it has on your family. And when we get to that point in the program, I mean, mouths drop. It's like, oh, I've been sabotaging my own financial plan. And we all do in little ways because we're not connecting the dots. So when we connect the dots and we see what our day-to-day decisions do for our overall plan and goals, boy, we can get really super focused on what's a good decision and what's a not a good
Mhm.
decision in terms of spending. And that to me is part of the power of this program. It's just boom.
Yeah. Bringing it to light and naming it, right? And saying, "Okay, I'm gonna learn from that. I'm gonna move on. It's okay, but I'm gonna learn from that. I'm not gonna make that same choice again." And
Last night I had a group of parents and soon to be freshmen in college, and we were doing just a talk on spending, what to expect from both sides. And we had the conversation about, are you taking a car to school or not? Okay, well, the cost of gasoline 6 months ago versus gasoline now. And some parents were like, okay, well, I'll just give them a credit card for gas or a gas card. And I'm like, no, no, no. You're robbing yourselves of a really good conversation right
Mhm.
now. Are you going to increase the budget because a tank of gas is now $50 a tank?
Mhm.
Or are you gonna talk about making choices, maybe not driving everywhere when you could walk?
Mhm.
When do you Uber? When do you drive?
I took the bus.
I I walk and biked, I mean, I tried to get my kids to take a bike and they were like, I was like, "I don't care what you look like. You don't have to do parking and you can pull right up to where you
You will
are."
not be late to
Huh,
class because of
exactly.
parking.
So I kind of gave up that fight. Now it's Lime scooters and, they got the e-bikes, but I'm like, okay, but that's like $7 a swipe to start with and however many it is a minute.
Mhm.
So, but they're really good conversations to have. And I'm like, don't give them the gas card, have the
Mhm.
conversation.
Mhm. And that same lifestyle creep relays over to my morning coffee. I was at Starbucks this morning and I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
am I really spending $9 every morning?"
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
And it's on the stressful days, I'll see kind of if I look at my budget, which I love because I can say, "Okay, ooh, I know what week that was," and I can look back and reflect. And then I'll have several weeks in a row where it's like there's nothing. But during those stressful time periods, that lifestyle creep
Yeah.
really steps in because I'm like, we just got to go. We just got to go.
Well, as I think, I talked about in my TED talk, like I hate shopping, but I'm a therapeutic shopper. Like I
Mhm.
really don't like it, but that whole process of buying something and getting it
Mhm.
does something for me, and I
Mhm.
don't care what it is. And so I had to really stop myself and say, "Wait, why are you
Yeah.
doing this? And do you really need this? And
Mhm.
in 2 weeks, are you even gonna know that you bought this?" So, all of the things that we talk about and teach, we are very familiar with. They are
Well,
part of
we
us.
have lived them out or
Yeah,
we are living them
yeah,
out. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's the other side of Let's Talk that's so beautiful is all these women that come together. There might be a variation of ages. There might
Yeah,
be someone who said, "Oh, I've been through that before. I did X, Y, and Z, or I did this and it didn't work out. So don't do that."
right.
And we can share together and have that common thread of just different experiences and bring life to it.
We have a saying that growth equals discomfort. And so we want you to at some point feel a little uncomfortable about something you're going to talk about,
Mhm.
but it's in a community of friends. I mean, we all get to that edge and we're like, oh, okay, now I realize what I did. And that's the
Mhm.
uncomfortable part. But
Mhm.
it's the neatest environment and to watch women connect and share. We don't solve each other's problems, but we talk about, oh, I've got you. I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. And to me, I mean,
Yeah.
we want to create this community of women all across our city that really respect, honor, and share these same things. And if they can go out to their girlfriends and share that, then we're onto something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have to ask you, CEO of the firm, always on the go, mom to 4 kids, is work-life balance real? Is that a real thing? I don't think it is.
I tell all the working mothers that work-life balance is not a line. It looks like a heartbeat monitor.
Mhm.
And, sometimes May is the perfect example. Often the home life is winning here because you're going to a Mother's Day program, you're having a Mother's Day lunch, or you have a choir program to go to, all these different things.
Mhm.
And so you put work aside or you work after hours to catch up to where you were so that you could be there
Mhm.
with your kids. And my personal view is you shouldn't have to sacrifice your family to work. And so we try and create that atmosphere where you can absolutely be where you need to be. But
Mm.
it means there's a price you pay at some point, whether it's working in the evening to get something done because you have a deadline, or it means there's another point in time in the year when work has a big commitment and you're going through that, and you're not going to have lunch with your child at school on a random Tuesday, or but I want you to be at the baseball games, at the basketball games, at whatever it is. It's just this ebb and flow constantly, and
Absolutely.
the important thing is we have to feel good about what we're doing, and it's never an all or none. It's
Mhm.
just a constant negotiation of what it is. It's easier said than done too. So, I say that, but, mom of 3 and, driving in 45 minutes to and from work on a good day. I mean,
Yeah, and May
weekends.
and Maycember is a real word for
Yeah.
me. It feels just like December all over again, and what has kind of helped me is like, okay, it's important to me to be successful, but it's important to me to be successful in my career and as a mother. So right now, I've just got to balance what I can and juggle the ball that's currently in the air.
Yeah.
And really, I've gone back to like values. Like, okay, what matters in this moment? I need to realign myself with my values and my core values and our family's values, which I think like this program does help you uncover that. And that's kind of that centering compass. When things start to spiral, they feel too big, or there's too much going on,
Yeah.
you can say, okay, I'm going to rein it back in. These are the things that are important. Here's what I can set down. Here's what I can pick up. And if it doesn't align, it just doesn't work
Right.
right now. And I think that that falls into money as well, because there's times that I have felt like we need to do something or we should do something, maybe because someone else is, or we've been invited on that trip or whatever's going on. Then, like, okay, no, 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 rein it back in.
Right.
It was more important to us to save up X, Y, and Z for this, or to invest this way, or to think about that long term plan. And kind of going back to those values, like, tell us a little bit about where in this program we just sit down and talk about what's
Yeah.
important.
It's early on because I'm a firm believer if you can make your decisions based on your values,
Mhm.
you most likely are not gonna regret your decision,
Right.
because you're gonna sleep at night knowing that, I may have missed the top, I may have missed a trip, I may have missed something,
Hmm.
but I did it based on what I truly believe, what's best for me, what's best for my family, whatever the decision was. And that should let you sleep well at night. So, I think about all the ways people get into trouble financially, or, just even with, I shouldn't have done that,
Hmm.
and it's when it's not aligned with your values. So we go through a process pretty early where we help identify what the core values are. And, there are so many parts about this program that I love, but it's a self discovery and it's not something new. It's like a rediscovery of, yes, this is who I am.
Mhm.
And when you have that framework and that's your foundation, and then we're layering on these other concepts and tools to help you build on that. So I don't know. I just think it's empowering
Yeah.
when you take control of that and then
Mhm.
you can align your decision making based on that. It just feels really good when you make decisions. I find that you second guess a lot less.
Mhm. Oh,
You're more
absolutely.
confident.
Yes, more confident
Yeah.
and the reassurance of like, no, this is right.
I also think, you as a couple can go back and say, this is what we agreed to based on what's
Mhm.
important to us. And it shuts down a lot of the noise, a lot of the comparison, a lot of the, just chatter around perception, all of that. It's like, no, these are our values and
This is
this
what
is, yeah,
matters. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. At the end of the day, I have started naming maybe extra spins or times that we got off track speed bumps and like, okay, let's learn from that
yeah,
speed bump. Let's go back to those core values. Let's go back to the roadmap and identify what happened. Why did we just make that quick
right.
decision that end up impacting
Impulsive. Yes.
impulsive decision and impacts other things, or maybe it prevents something else from happening that could have benefited us more. And it's been really good for us. And I mean, it's not an exercise that my husband enjoys,
Right,
but
right.
I hold him accountable and we have it and we talk about it. And I kind of just have this little journal. It's like a bedside journal. I'm like, okay, speed bump.
Yeah.
We did X, Y, and Z, and this is how it affected us. And it's corny. It feels a little corny, but it has helped me
Mhm.
just to kind of say, okay, that didn't fall under this bucket, this
Right.
value.
Right.
And I think that this program, if you don't know what those values are, it helps you uncover. And if you do, it just gives you the reassurance and the confidence to use them as a guiding tool.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about the kind of money part or budgeting part. It's not an accounting class, it's not a budgeting class.
Mhm.
We teach you how to kind of identify your inflows and your outflows, like just how to think about things. I would call it more a framework of how to think about
Mhm.
money. And then what are the forces that are impacting your money? And I think about this monthly, quarterly. We have insurance we typically pay quarterly. We have
Mhm.
semi-annually. Property taxes are annually, but there's a method to the flows that happen.
Right.
Bonuses are typically once a year, but you may
Mm.
have quarterly incentives or different things. So how do we think about all those different blocks and how do we build something around all of that? Um, and part of that is goal setting. What
Mm.
is it you want to do? And goal setting can be pretty immediate. Like we all like to have things that are, pretty quick and help us get to our longer term goals. But there are these, kind of mid goals that may take 6 months to a couple years. And then there are the long term goals, which we know are going to be a couple years to fulfill. But keeping an eye on that target and continuing to focus in on what that is, put your other goals in perspective and allows you to really make solid decisions and have conversations. I think you said it with life creep. If I'm so focused on the near
Mhm.
term, and I've gotten out of focus with the long term. Um, Going back to that on occasion
Mhm.
crystallizes everything. I'm like, oh, okay, that's noise. Let's let that go.
Mhm. Put the shiny object back on the shelf.
The retail therapy,
Yes,
don't need it because I have
absolutely.
this goal, and that's more important to me.
Mhm. A lot of my girlfriends are talking about they've actually taken Amazon off their phone.
Oh, I don't have it on the front page anymore. I have to look for it.
That's a great step. I have a girlfriend who literally she has to go get on her computer. So she's like, the time it takes me to go get my laptop to log in, I have thought about this. And so she's not just on social media clicking the
Yeah.
link and purchasing.
So in my age group, it would be by the time I got to the computer, I forgot what I was going to buy, and until it comes up again.
I love that.
It's true. Ask anybody my age. No, there's just all these little tools and tricks, and that's what I love about the community is people share things like
Mhm.
that. And I know even just pausing to take a moment to look when I don't remember when it was, but I looked at our like spending. I think I got on, Simplify or whatever it was, one of these budgeting apps, and I was like, holy crap. Amazon is like the biggest bucket there, and to sort through it is nearly impossible. Like, what was detergent, for clothes and sink, and what was fun stuff, and what was a school project. I mean, the time that it takes to go through that is agonizing, and so you just go, oh well, but it's a big number, really big.
I think everyone's experiencing
Yeah.
that. And it's happening more and more with social media, just makes it easier. It's gotten so easy. So I feel like we could just keep talking about this for hours. You and I are both passionate about it. We love helping women and we love all the topics.
Give us a glass of wine, and we will.
Let's talk.
No, it is definitely one of those areas where you just start talking and it leads into another topic and another conversation. So, what do you want to leave people with?
I just want women to know that the door is open and there's a seat at our table and you're wanted, you're worthy, and there's a reason that you're listening to us today and that you've made it this far, and we want you to know that we care about you. We want to help at any point and phase of your life, whether you're single, married, divorced, widowed, there's a seat at the table.
Yeah. And, we're not asking you to figure it all out now. We don't have it all figured out. It's just a journey and we all go there together. At least it's more fun when you have your gals to go with you. But there are some things that we can help frame conversations, ways to think about things, rules of thumb. And to me, that's the most powerful part for us, is to be able to share that knowledge and those tools with others. So, um, like Sadie said, we're excited and would love to have you join us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you. Enjoyed the conversation.
You too.
Well, there are so many great conversations that come from discovering the true wealth in your life. And I feel that when you see wealth for more than money, you will have true clarity in what matters to you. And that clarity will help you in every decision you make. Thank you for spending time with us. I look forward to the next time you'll join us. And remember, wealth is a lot more than money.